Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another podcast, Dejah Brew. I'm your host, Dejah Olson. Grab a coffee or a tea or whatever you enjoy drinking, and let's get right into this. As you can tell by the title of this video, I want to make a podcast about my craziest tattoo experience because I have 9 tattoos, and for 2 of them, I got like 2 at one place. So I've been to 7 different tattoo shops all around the US and had different experiences in each one. But my most memorable one was in New York City. And I just want to tell you about it. I think it was kind of an interesting, fun story time. I tell a lot of people about this one. So sit back, enjoy, and I'll tell you about it. Okay, so I made a podcast already about my thoughts on New York City and the trip I just went on. It is now June, and I went back in February for my birthday with my 2 girlfriends, and it was so fun. And one night, we decided, we went out to dinner at a fancy restaurant it was supposed to be like my birthday dinner, and we were gonna, eat a little classier and like dress up and then go eat. And that was just not the vibe, honestly. We went to a place called Say Less because it sounded kind of funny. It's like a punny joke. It was SEI and then space LESS. And yeah, in New York City. And I don't know, the whole atmosphere just had me feeling so off because it was like dim, like really dim in there. Like you could barely see the other people's, like their faces, I guess. You could see like other people were in the restaurant and it was pretty loud, but they had the lights so dim, like that date night vibe, I don't even know. And yeah, just really dark, and the food took a long time to come out, and it was really expensive. I got fried rice, and they just put everything on one check, and they added like a $20 gratitude on it, and then it ended up being like $120 for dinner. I know, it's besides the point, but I'm trying to get to like, this all happened the same night. So we finished eating and we were like, that was just not the vibe. Let's go turn this night around. So we walked back to our Airbnb apartment and put on some sweatpants, just a comfier fit than what we wore to the restaurant. And then we went to this really cute place, and it's like a ice cream, no, it was like gelato and churros or something like that. And I had like matcha gelato with a churro on top, and it was amazing. And then we were like, what else do we do now? After we ate it, it was so good. And I was like, you guys want to come with me to get a tattoo? Because they know that I'm trying to get a tattoo in every different state I go to, so they can all be from different places. And they're like, yeah, why not? So I already had one in mind, and the girls were like, yeah, let's go. They didn't know if they want to get a tattoo or not, but they were perfectly fine heading out with me. And I think the place closed at like midnight, and we got there about 10:30ish at night. So it was getting a little late, but New York City like never sleeps. There's so many people out and about. And I think this was like a Friday or a Saturday night. And so we make our walk over to that place, and it was like really hard to find, but we finally did. And it was hard because it wasn't on the ground floor. We had to walk in a door and then walk up like 4 different flights of stairs that just like crisscrossed. I don't know, it was weird. And then we passed like on each level there was a different like shop. Yeah, the only one I remember is we passed like a psychic shop, and that was kind of interesting. And then next floor up was the tattoo shop, and it was so cute in there. It was like so modern. All the walls were white, but they had like pictures of different tattoos on the wall and everything. And the people that worked there, they were so sweet. It was like mom that had like a very heavy accent, like Russian or something. I don't know, it was so cool. She was so funny and sweet. And it was like a mom and her daughter. Her daughter was probably in her 20s, really pretty. And then another girl, about in her 20s too. And then this guy that we could tell was gay, and he was just awesome and funny. Loved the vibe in there. So there's like 4 of them, and we walked in, and someone else was walking up the stairs with us. And I don't know, we didn't really pay much attention to them as we were all going up the stairs because, I don't know, we didn't think they were gonna get tattoos too. And I don't know, you see so many people that you're just like, figure that you're not even gonna see them again in like a little bit, or they're gonna go their own separate way. But no, they were like, you guys getting tattoos? And we're like, yeah. And then they were like, we are too. There was 3 of them. I think they had just graduated high school, or it was February, so they're probably about to. So about like 18, and we were 18, 19, 20. And when we walked in there, I don't know, they were really nice, all the people, like I said, and they greeted us, and then we were looking through the books, and then the 3 guys, they wanted Audi signs on their thighs, above like a swimsuit or boxer line. So like they said, so their parents won't see it, or so when they're playing sports, they won't be able to see it, so they don't lose their scholarship to college or something like that. It was just funny. And then we were trying to make conversation. I mean, I was a little bit. They were drunk, and that was pretty funny. Stumbling up the stairs a little bit and just like laughing. And I don't know, you can tell they had a lot of money, because like tattoos in New York, they aren't cheap. I mean, they're not really cheap anywhere, but they're a little bit pricey here. I mean, I think it was like I want to say $80 minimum, but it might have been a $120 minimum for a tattoo. And I just remember the one guy out of the group, when they were talking about how they were gonna pay, he was like, oh yeah, I got it, I'll go to like the ATM. There's an ATM right there in the same little room. And then he just took out like $300 and was gonna pay for his friends' tattoos. And it's like, okay. And they literally just got the 4 Audi car rings on themselves. But we were all waiting together because it takes a little bit. There are other people getting tattoos. I think 2 other people were already getting tattoos, so we had to wait. And we were all just sitting in a little waiting room. And I was gonna get 227 because it's my birthday, and that's why we came to New York to celebrate my birthday. And it's a really good angel number. And when we got to New York, our Airbnb was a little apartment in an apartment building that had so many apartments in it, and our room number, we didn't know until we got there, ended up being 227. I was like, what a sign. I've always wanted to get an angel number tattoo, so I'm like, this is the one. So I was gonna get that, and then Divine Feminine, because they're both kind of small ones, and I'm like, I might as well get 2, have 2 from New York, that'd be pretty cool. So we were just waiting, talking to the guys, and I was trying to make conversation, and I was like, I've had an Audi before. My first car was a 2006 Audi A6. Yeah, I don't have her anymore. I miss her, but she had so many problems. But, I still had her. I was like, I can make conversation with them. They're getting Audi tattoos, so, like, I can tell them that I had an Audi. We can talk about it. And then they're like, oh, really? They're like, what kind? And I told them, like, I was like, what? And they're like, well, what engine even was it, or something like that? And I was like, I don't know, V8, maybe V6. They're like, my Audi was blah, 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 blah. Trying to, like, hype theirs up. Okay, I don't really care. They were just drunk, and they're pretty funny, but anyway, the girl comes over. She's so sweet, and she is like, what do you want? And she just gets straight to the point. She's like, okay, let me draw them up real quick. They're super easy. Just making sure the font and sizing was what I wanted, and she had me come over pretty fast. Like, she got them drawn up and everything, went back, made the stencil of it to put on my arm, and then she's like, you ready? And I was like, yep. So I walked over there, and one of my friends, she was gonna get a tattoo as well. She decided. The other one wasn't, which is fine. She was fine waiting for us, but my one friend that was gonna get a tattoo, she had to wait a little bit because there was those 3 guys in there anyway, and no, like another 1 or 2 people getting tattooed. So I went first, and I went over to the table, and she started with the Divine Feminine, and that's just on my wrist in capital letters. If you're on YouTube, I'll try to show you. Yeah, so that's the one that I was gonna get first. She's like, let's do this one first. I'm like, okay. I was a little worried that it was gonna hurt on the wrist, but it did not hurt really at all. And halfway through, she got Divine done. Pretty sure. I glanced at it sometimes, and then I just saw that that's how far she was. And then all of a sudden, we hear a thud. Like, boom. I was like, what the heck? And then there was just like gasps and like laughs and like just a lot of commotion going on. And I was like, what happened? Because I was facing away from the little waiting room. It's all in one room, one long rectangle room. But I was facing away from, you know, the guys where everyone was sitting. But I just know that the first guy, he got done getting his tattoo, and for all of them, they told us this was their first tattoo they've ever gotten. And then he walked past me and like took a look at mine, whatever, and then walked back, and then heard the thud, and he slipped on the, like, he tripped on the floor, and he like passed out because drunk and got a tattoo. And yeah, he just passed out, and he hit his head on the little like waiting room table. I'm laughing about it, but like it was bad, obviously, like it wasn't good, but looking back on it, was funny. And when all his friends started laughing, and then when he was conscious again, he was laughing about it, then it was all good. We were just making a joke out of it, but I just can't believe that happened. Like, it was crazy. And but the friends, they didn't care. They were like, nope, we're still gonna get our 2 tattoos. So, you know, they went and got theirs. But that guy, he like took a little bit to wake up too. Like, I remember I saw like the mom of the place that owns the tattoo shop. I heard her like slapping his cheeks, like trying to wake him up. And then eventually he did. Probably not long after, like 30 seconds, but he was a little disoriented. He just sat on the floor. I mean, the gym. Sat on the couch. And I remember the girl, I think she had like anxiety, which really sucks, but for her, of course. And I remember she was like, I think she told me, she was like, oh, like this isn't really how I wanted it to be. Like, I'm so sorry, like I can fill it in more for you or do whatever. And then I looked, and I'm like, at the moment I was like, I didn't really care. I was like, oh, you know, it's fine. And then it was a little bit crooked, like the Divine Femme is all straight, and then the ININE at the end of it kind of slants down. And but I wasn't really paying attention to that, you know. I just wanted to get my tattoos. And she was like, I can like fill them in more, because they were not very filled in either. And I was like, yeah, that's fine, just fill in the like DI and the M or something. I don't know, a couple like of them. I should have told her to fill them all in, because now like half of them are pretty, I don't know, solidly filled, and the other ones are like splotchy filled. But you can still read it. It still says Divine Feminine. But she was all like anxious because that guy hit his head, and like she said that doesn't ever happen, and she was like kind of freaked out about it. So she probably should have just stopped tattooing me for a little bit, but it's okay. She was like, I don't know, she's really sweet about it. She's like, you know, if you ever come back to New York, like, and you want to touch up, or you want me to like cover it, she's like, you just come back in. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And she's like, I promise I'll do better on the 2 to 7. I'm like, okay. Like, I already Venmo'd her the cash. So I was like, you know, let's keep going. And she did 2 to 7, and it turned out really good. I mean, it's just 3 numbers, but it looks perfect. And she even touched up my little, me and my best friend on our rollerblades. I was fading, so half the tattoo was kind of fading, and I had only gotten it like 2 months ago, and I told her about it, and she was like, oh, like, I'll touch it up for you. I was like, really? That's so sweet. So I forgive her for the divine feminine. It's fine because I wear bracelets on my wrist like all the time. But the fact that it's all because the guy just fainted, just passed out. So that was really crazy. And they were 18, and I don't know how they got alcohol, and I don't know. We were just talking. Well, we're not from New York. We're from Nebraska, so we're used to just driving places, walking around like town, but driving if you want to go far places. And then they were like, oh, we don't know how we're gonna go home or something like that. We have to like call a cab. I don't know, something like that. And I know that cabs are so expensive. Well, we had an Uber, and that was really, really expensive. Oh, our Lyft was pretty expensive. So I know cab would be expensive too. And I was like, why can't you just walk? And he's like, we're not gonna walk. It's 80 blocks or something like that. I was like, well, I don't know. Can't take the subway? And he's like, no, we're gonna get a Lyft. And yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like that thud from his head was really loud, but just a crazy experience, and something that, I don't know, me and my girls, we talked about that like the whole way home and the next day too. And on the table, they left, one of them had their, like the outline. I don't know if they used the same outline for everyone, but one of the outlines was still on the desk of the 4 circles. So I took it and I put it in I have a little like travel collection box of all just random things from cities. So I put it in there. But that was a little story time. I don't know. Sometimes it's funnier than others. I hope you found a little bit of entertainment and enjoyment in this one. But, you know, even though the tattoo didn't turn out perfect, like, you can't, like, what is perfect? You know, you can't expect a tattoo to be perfect, because what someone thinks is perfect could not be perfect to you. And you could always get it touched up or covered if you really, really wanted to. So I just try to live carefree. I try to just not let things get to me or bother me too much. Just say la vie. Such is life. It is what it is. So I don't really mind it, but that was the story. 3 drunk guys getting a tattoo at 11 p.m. at night in New York City. At the same moment we were. Like, what are the odds? There's 3 of us and there's 3 of them. They were pretty cute, but not like we would exchange, you know, numbers. No. Just, it was like funny to run into them. And yeah, that was the story. I said that like 3 times. Sorry. I think I don't even know if I looked at theirs, but they were excited. They like interested in mine, so they were all coming over to me and like looking at what I got, like, oh, cool. Probably cooler to them because they were intoxicated. I mean, I think they're cool, but they're pretty simple, just words and numbers. But yep, that's all for the podcast today. I just wanted to give you a little story time, and that's it for today. I will see you in my next podcast next week. Thank you so much for watching these. Like, all your support makes me so happy. Every single view on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you watch it, just makes me so happy, and I really appreciate your support. It means the world to me. I love you all, and I will see you next week. Bye!